Hi YouTube, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. So today we are going to take a look at a new shotgun. I don't typically make gun review videos, but this is a shotgun that I had my eye on for quite a while, and there's not really a whole lot about it out on YouTube. So I just figured I'd go ahead and toss my kind of a review, first impression sort of deal. I think I've got like 50 or 75 rounds through this, and so enough to kind of get an idea of it, but not, by no means like a completely in-depth, long-term type of review or anything like that. So anyway, so what I was after was, so first of all, this is the CZ bobwhite. Okay, it's a, I got this one in 12 gauge. It's a 3-inch chamber, 28-inch barrel. This one does have the 2 triggers, which is what I was after. It's also cut for choke tubes. The only thing that I've done to this gun so far is I just installed sling swivels. About 20 minutes ago, somewhere around there, and then pretty much took it out of the box, cleaned it up, oiled it. It was insanely stiff when I first got it. That was one of the things that I had seen on reviews online, was that the gun was really stiff right out of the box. That is putting it lightly. This thing, so it comes broke down in this, actually a pretty dang cool case. It's got little sleeves right here to protect the gun from the plastic, with your owner's manual and all that kind of stuff. I picked this up for about 650 bucks from Sportsman's Warehouse, and it is the G2 model, so CZ bobwhite G2. So anyway, so they've got the display model up there on the rack, right? And it's been handled by however many guys and gals that have come over and looked at it. And that model was, or that particular shotgun was pretty stiff. I mean, you hit the lever and open it, and you could tell it was a little on the stiff side. But I didn't break it down or anything like that, and I figured, well, a new gun, especially a fairly nice gun in steel and wood, it would probably be a little bit on the tight side. Okay, no big deal. Well then, so I told the girl behind the counter I'd take it. So she went back and got me, this one, which was brand new, hadn't been assembled, and hadn't been handled by a whole bunch of people. And just to get the dang forearm on, which this one, it's starting to lighten up considerably. But I sat there for probably 5 minutes trying to get the dang forearm on. And still, I mean, you see how I have to kind of help that on and off. So I'm sitting there, I didn't want to break a gun that I hadn't paid for yet. And, and I'm just sitting there, I'm like, man, is that really supposed to be that tough to get on there? So right there you can see when I can get it on, but then you got to press pretty dang hard to get that to fall into place. Well, at the store where it had never been put together before, I mean, I'm sitting there really kind of struggling with it. So another one of the salesmen come over, and she said, hey, have you worked with these? And he's like, yeah, those are really stiff. So what he did was, let's pull this thing off again, was he turned it muzzle down, and it maybe has to do with that little locking lug right there. Put it up in there, held it, lifted this up, and smacked the dang thing, and in it went. And so I thought, well, okay. So then getting it to, then opening and closing it, boy, it was, like I said, it was pretty dang, I mean, almost to the point of being unusable. The first 25 rounds out at the range was, quite a bit of a fight. I mean, you push that thing over, push it hard, and then still have to put quite a bit of force into it to break it open. After the first 25 rounds, it did loosen up a little bit. It is by no means, you know, you have to jiggle it to get the action to open up. So like I said, I've got like 75 rounds through it right now. And while watching YouTube videos, I'll pull it out and then just sit there and work the action quite a bit. That does two things. It, you know, it puts more wear into the, or more break-in into the action. And then second of all, it gets my hands used to that particular shotgun and get it, you know, just to where we get familiar with each other. It does come with the 5 chokes and the choke tube wrench. Kind of a nice little jobber. The choke tubes are marked in hashes. So there's not a word on there, you know, full, modified, or cylinder. There's just little bitty hashes at the end. Now I had to look that up to find out what those hashes meant. And then I measured them with a dime just to double check. Let's see if I can get my Stickum note peeled open here. So anyhow, once I found it on the internet, knowing my memory, I'd never remembered that. So I went ahead and took a Stickum note and put the number of hash marks and what that correlated to. So 1 hash mark is full, 2 hash marks is improved modified, 3 is modified, 4 is improved cylinder, and 5 is cylinder. And then so I just took that and rolled it up and stuck it into the choke tube box. Those are flush mounted choke tubes. So when I took it out to the range, I shot it with, so I'm predominantly a rabbit hunter. You know, that's what I'm going to be using the shotgun for, both cottontails and jackrabbits. And it sure seemed to me like, well, I've never really been much of a shotgunner to begin with, but lately I've been picking it up just because it's one of the disciplines of shooting that I haven't played with. I'm predominantly a rifleman and then a pistolman after that. So the times that I've taken a shotgun out, I always had the wrong choke tube installed. So if I had the full choke in, you know, because I'm out on the plains, you know, hunting jackrabbits, that day for some reason, I think those jackrabbits know what choke tube you have in there. They would kick up at, you know, 5 yards or so. And so I'd have the wrong choke tube installed. That was what I was really after with this, is since you have the 2 triggers, the front trigger shoots the right barrel, the back trigger shoots the left barrel. That way you can decide instantly, you know, which barrel to shoot at them. And I think we're going to get along really good. Out at the range, like I said, I shot shot about 2 boxes of these AA 7.5s, I think, just to kind of go through them. And then I patterned it with some 1 ounce and 1 1/4 ounce number 6s, Federals. Those seem to be doing pretty good for me. Everything seemed to be patterning pretty well. The barrels seem to be regulated pretty well, you know, to the sight. I was hit after the first, oh, I don't know, 5 or 10 rounds. I was hitting pretty much everything I aimed at. This does have kind of a low, the stock is kind of low as far as the pitch is concerned, which really fits me pretty well. So I throw this up and boy, it sure seems like we get along fairly well. So a couple of things. The trigger weight. Now I don't have a trigger scale or anything, so you can see it's empty. The gun weighs about 7 pounds or so, and you can tell. So the trigger pulls are less than 7 pounds. They feel pretty good. I mean, for something that's meant to be shot in a hurry, the triggers are pretty dang nice, and are getting better as the gun gets broke in. One thing, now these are empties, absolutely empties. Now these are, like I said, the AA 7.5s. The gun doesn't have ejectors, which I've got an old brake barrel 410, and it has ejectors, and it's kind of cool. You know, you hit the button, you open it up, and the empty goes flying. Well, these don't do that. It just lifts them up so that you can, you know, pick them out and put them in your pocket, which is really cool, because then if you're a hand loader like me, then you don't have to chase your shells, you know, all over the place. But one cool thing about this one is that not only if you break it open you can pull the shells out, but if you're in a hurry, if you miss, you can break it open and they fall out. That happened with the AAs. It happened with the Federal 6s with the 1 ounce and the 1 1/4 ounce. And these right here are some hand loads that I put together. They're I mean, they're still within book, but they're, you know, they're a full power load. This was 1 3/8 ounce of lead BBs with Chidite 209 primer and 28.5 grains of long shot. So while they're not like a Magnum 3-inch round, they are a pretty stiff 2 3/4 inch round, and they fell right out. So that's kind of a nice option. I mean, I kind of doubt that I'm going to be as fast as like some of those cowboy action guys, but that is kind of nice. Just kind of nice to have options. You can either shuck them real fast, or you can pull them out and put them in your bag. The recoil pad. I was kind of concerned with this recoil pad. My other shotgun has got, you know, a fair, you know, 1 inch recoil pad that's got holes through it. It's really nice and soft and cushy. This one, with this drop, the way it's angled, how much it's dropped, all that kind of stuff, I didn't really have a problem with the recoil at all, even with the pretty stout loads. With the way the stock is shaped and everything, in the past with my other shotgun, it's a Winchester 1300, the amount of force coming into my shoulder hadn't been a problem, but the way the stock comes up and slaps my cheekbone has been. And so I've kind of stayed with the 2 3/4 inch shells just because of that. This one right here, it didn't matter. Whatever I was shooting, that angle, I mean the force coming into my shoulder didn't, you know, wasn't a big deal at all. And this, it missed my cheekbone every time I shot it. So so now I've got to go either buy or load up some 3-inch shells and start playing with some heavier recoiling stuff now that you know, it's comfortable to shoot. And that's with that fairly stiff recoil pad on it, and it's only well, let's see this, it's a 2-layer here, so the first 1/4 inch or so is, it's only 1/2 inch overall. That first 1/4 inch is just a hard plastic plate that gets screwed onto the stock, and then the second 1/4 inch is you know, I mean, it's pretty stiff. The top of it has got kind of a hard plastic right here so that it doesn't want to snag as much on your clothing, which is cool. Yeah, I think that's enough about the shotgun itself. The sling swivels. Okay, so I don't know why guns don't come with sling swivels or sling swivel studs already installed on the guns. So anyway, so this one, I was looking at it, and you know, typically, you know, like on a rifle or a larger shotgun, you know, a pump, you would install your front sling swivel stud into the magazine cap. Well, this one doesn't have a magazine cap, and this fore-end is pretty light, and it does have a little bit of a squeak to it when you grab it hard. I'm not sure if that's going to go away, but I guess it really doesn't matter that much. So anyway, so looking on the net, I had seen some other double-barreled shotguns that had a you know, a plate that was screwed into the rib, and then your sling swivel stud came out of that. So at first I thought, well, okay, I'll just go ahead and, you know, come out to the shop and go ahead and make one. Well, then I thought, well, wait a minute, you know, Midway might sell something like that. And sure enough, they did. About $22 or so before tax and shipping. Groove Tech locking swivel set for side-by-side double-barrel shotguns. All steel construction, premium black oxide finish, and detachable design. So these have got 1 inch of the actual sling swivels. Most of my slings are the 1.25 inches or so. But these sling swivels, or the slings, you just unscrew this piece right here, push it in, pop it off, and away you go. So that is the little piece that gets screwed into the rib. Now, the rear sling swivel stud is just a normal, drill it with a wood, or drill it and put a wood screw into the stock. But this one right here, it's held in place by 2 screws. They're both 4x48. In the instructions, it says to drill with a number 44 drill bit to a depth of about 180 thousandths or so, and then tap it with a bottom tap. So of course I didn't have a tap set of that size, so I ordered a couple off Amazon. Got the tap kit that has the tapered tap, the medium tap, and then the bottom tap. So the tapered tap taps easier to tap a straight hole. The second tap has got less taper on it, and so it'll cut them threads closer to the bottom. And then the bottom tap doesn't really have much taper at all, so it'll cut them threads all the way to the bottom. But you need to do that in those steps, especially with these thin little bitty taps like this, because these things will break off and make you cry just like that. And then grabbed another set that had that particular drill bit in it, and a taper, a normal taper tap. Come to find out, I did not need the bottom tap at all, because that rib is hollow. All right, so when I chucked it or put it up over on the drill press, drilled in, the bit went in, it started cutting, it cut a little bit, and then just as I was kind of about ready to pull the bit up to see how deep I'd gone, it broke through. So that rib right there is not solid. It's only, now the metal on the bottom here appears to be about 1/8 of an inch thick, thereabouts. It was enough to be able to get, 5 or 6 of those threads, because they are pretty tiny threads. So, I mean, it feels like that there's plenty of material there, and the threads are completely deep enough to hold those little bitty screws. But just so you know, if you go to put one of these in here, and it says use a bottoming tap, you don't need to purchase an extra bottoming tap, at least not with this one. Now on this part right here, so this must be a 3-piece rib design, where you have one piece here, an end piece, and then the bottom rib, and then the top rib. The top rib sure feels like it's solid. Whether it is or not, I don't know. So about the only thing that's left to do with this shotgun is to go ahead and continue patterning it with different loads. Although I've got the improved cylinder in the right barrel and the improved modified in the left barrel. The patterns at 40 yards looked pretty good to me, so I'll probably just go ahead and go hunt with it like that, see what happens. But like I said, there's the other choke tubes in there to try out with that. I may end up installing a mid-bead, just because, like I said, I'm a rifleman, and so I'm really used to seeing a front and a rear sight. Yeah, that's just what I'm used to. So I may install a mid-bead sooner or later, and then just go out and finish breaking it in, and go out and enjoy the thing. And then sooner or later, it'll finish breaking in, and if it doesn't, then I'll take it apart and, buff the mating surfaces and slick it up a little bit. But yeah, so for, like I said, it was $649 from Sportsman's Warehouse. I had some Sportsman's Warehouse bucks, from them, which reduced that a little bit. But yeah, it's a really nice metal and wood nicely put together shotgun that now that it's breaking in, I'm pretty excited to spend, you know, the next couple of decades with it and out there chasing bunnies. So again, this is Joe Calton with Calton Cutlery. You can visit me on the web, caltoncutlery.com. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you next time.